How you doing, guys? Several weeks ago, I was going to mention the lack of JW trolls that used to show up in the comments section. Over the last year, it seems like they've gotten to be less and less and less. Well, I had forgotten to mention it until my channel was attacked by a new one. He used to go by the name of Flying with Flesh-Eating Eagles, but recently changed his name to Elijah Was Here. And that started reminding me of the trolls of old. Warrior Princess Triple Ten, the Daily Observer, Archie Liebird, and whatever happened to Alan Limpdick? They just kind of seemed to vanish. I guess they got tired of not being able to coerce anybody, and they just kind of went on their way. But the only reason I noticed this troll who goes by the name of Elijah Was Here was on my last video. He had left like 70 comments. So not only was he coming after me, he was commenting on everybody else who had commented on the video. But I've noticed the trend that they all seem to have one thing in common. They're like children. They attack like children. They're like that little kid in the schoolyard that are arguing back and forth. They don't seem to make any point, and in all honesty, they really can't convince anybody that they have the truth. But I started realizing that these trolls are not trying to convince the ex-JW community that they've screwed up, that they have the truth. They're trying to convince themselves in their own childlike way. See, deep in their mind, they're having doubts. And they're wondering, am I in a lie? Am I in the truth? So what they try to do is they try to engage in arguments and debates with the ex-JW community, which in all honesty doesn't get anywhere. It's like arguing with children. And they're wondering what the future of their organization holds. And let's face it, we all wonder what the future holds. But what is the future of Jehovah's Witnesses and Watchtower? Let's get to it. Thinking back a year ago, it's unreal just how things have progressed in 2020. I mean, a year ago, we didn't realize that the media would have the fear porn that they had and have twisted society incredibly. And a lot of people have a hopeful outlook for 2021, hoping that things will get better. Many of us realize that this is going to continue and progress, and the reins are going to get tighter and tighter and tighter. Now, I talk to a lot of people who are still clueless, and which is why I don't engage in political debates, because in all honesty, this agenda is going to continue, and it doesn't matter who's in the White House, so I won't even argue that point. Other people realize that, yes, things are going to get tighter. But the one thing that people outside of Jehovah's Witnesses have, many people have, are critical thinking skills. They realize what's going on. See, a lot of the population that are asleep have to be told by the media what's going on. Much like Jehovah's Witnesses, they won't critically think for themselves. They have to wait till JW Broadcasting tells them what to think and tells them what's going on. Now, we all want to know the future and what it holds for us. So do Jehovah's Witnesses. And the writing is on the wall what the future is for Jehovah's Witnesses, especially since Watchtower made receiving the COVID vaccine a conscience matter. Now, this is going to come up again. It's already been brought up, but Watchtower is going to have to push this a little bit further than just a conscience matter. What they're going to use is how many Jehovah's Witnesses want to return to the kingdom halls rather than watching the Zoom meetings. Much like everybody else, Jehovah's Witnesses are not really that different from anybody else. They get discouraged very easily, and 2020 has discouraged a lot of people. This summer sucked for me. I mean, I got myself in such a funk because of everything that was going on, and I finally pulled out of it. And Jehovah's Witnesses are much the same way. Many of them are in a deep depression because They want to go back to the kingdom halls. They want to go back to their meetings, and they're hoping 2021 they'll do so. What Watchtower is going to do, as the vaccine gets more readily available, they're going to be told, yes, it's a conscience matter, but if you get the vaccine, we can allow you back into the kingdom halls. Well, as time goes on, many of Jehovah's Witnesses that were on the fence are going to read the writing on the wall with that and says, no, I do not want this vaccine. And the fact that their spiritual leaders are now giving the green light for it, they're going to start to drift away and just walk. Others who still think that the governing body are on a pedestal will gladly take this vaccine. But as time goes on, they're wondering, well, why aren't we going back to the kingdom halls? Well, many of them are going to reminisce, and they're going to know as 2021 progresses, they're going to start driving by their kingdom halls. And notice, their kingdom halls are no longer there. In their place, a Bank of America, Dunkin' Donuts, Wendy's, and they find out it's not only their kingdom hall, but they start talking to others that many, if not the majority of the kingdom halls, are gone. So they realize that, well, we can't go back to the kingdom halls. We have to continue watching the meetings on Zoom. Well, as time progresses, Watchtower has to address this because Jehovah's Witnesses are starting to notice there are no kingdom halls. How can we go back to them? What Watchtower will do is tell Jehovah's Witnesses that it's no longer safe to meet in a public place. The world hates you, and they're coming after us. In essence, they're going to be telling them they're coming after you. Now, as 2021 progresses, the courts are going to be going after Watchtower hard, and they're going to convince they're being persecuted for their faith. But this has very little to do with Jehovah's Witnesses. It has to do with Watchtower, jw.org. But still, Jehovah's Witnesses are going to think they're being persecuted. So they believe this, and they say, okay, we can no longer meet in public. The world scene in 2021 is unusually quiet. Jehovah's Witnesses are told something's happening, but they're not sure what. The general population is wondering what's going on because usually what you hear on the news, you're no longer hearing. Well, JWs on their Zoom meetings hear again that the world empire of false religion is about to be attacked and put out of business. This does little to encourage Jehovah's Witnesses because they've heard this before. So it's nothing new. They're like, yeah. More and more Jehovah's Witnesses start to fade. There are still a few diehards that are waiting for the world empire of false religion to be put out of business. They're very concerned because now their organization, Watchtower, is going through several corporate name changes, and they don't understand this. They're told, this is a human standpoint, don't try and figure it out. So most of them say, okay, that's fine. They also can't understand why, during the course of 2021, that their governing body has been replaced. And Jehovah's Witnesses are told Jehovah would reveal his plan in due time. Again, the JWs sit and wait. One day in one of their Zoom meetings, they're told that the governing body had been taken to their heavenly reward. And they realized that Tony Morris, Stephen Lett, and all the others, Jeffrey Jackson, will no longer be seen because now they're sitting with the Christ. A lot of JWs don't buy it, and again, more JWs leave, but the diehards say it's finally happened. The end is right around the corner. And then it happens. During the course of 2021 into 2022, a worldwide military coalition attacks not only the world's religions, but every government agency, every corporation, Hollywood, Washington, every place that the satanic influence is infiltrated and taken over. They are merciful, no mercy is shown to them, but they're all put out of business. JWs finally stand tall and proud and say, see, we told you so. Till one day, helicopters start landing in Warwick, New York. the headquarters of Jehovah's Witnesses. And not only there, but every branch headquarters around the world. The bunkers are blown into. The military goes in, and what do? They pull out the former governing body members and manhandle them and take them into custody. Well, Jehovah's Witnesses see this, and they realize, wait a minute. Weren't they taken to heaven? Then why were they hiding in bunkers? Well, Watchtower is done. They're gone along with the rest of the world religions. Now, Jehovah's Witnesses are running around like mice. Even the local leadership can't quell it because they don't know what to say. The diehard JWs try to convince others that the apostates have hired doubles of the governing body. But realization kicks in when Jehovah's Witnesses realize that nobody's going to put their life on the line for anybody or anything. Well, as time goes on, the spiritual food is cut off. Local leadership doesn't know what to say, but they're in the same boat. JWs no longer communicate, and they realize that what they thought was the truth is gone. See, everybody finds out what their religions were into. Everybody finds out what their favorite celebrities were into. Everything is now exposed, and the world is shocked. JWs are shocked because now they're hearing the same thing about their organization. And they realize, especially those who were lifers or in for many decades, that their life was a lie. And they all have family and friends that they've shunned for many, many years. Well, some of their families that had been shunned reach out. Some of the JWs open up communication. Others are just too ashamed to say anything. They're out in public, they look down, hoping they're not recognized as one of Jehovah's Witnesses. At one time, they were very proud to be labeled as one of Jehovah's Witnesses, but no longer, when they realized that they were worshiping a paper god, that they were complying with a controlling organization that was shystering them, that was getting rich on their labor. But they are no more. And they still wonder, am I saved? And what is the truth? And a lot of people will be facing this as the next year progresses. Even Darrow uploads a video and tries to convince everybody that the Warwick attack was photoshopped, but he and his 30-some odd viewers don't even believe it. And Bobby Ploss, after all this, still doesn't realize that it's not all about him. But this basically is a projected look into the future of Jehovah's Witnesses. Many are starting to realize it. Unfortunately, there are still many inside that will hold on to it to the bitter end. Anyways, guys, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, and I will talk to you soon. I will see you after the holiday. You guys have a good day.